I invite Mr. Brijesh Kumar, chief guest, to come on stage. I invite Dr. Ashwin Mahesh from Guru. I invite Mr. N.S. Mukunda from President Citizen Action Club to come on stage. So, welcome you all again, and this meeting is on discussion on the different aspects of lake from the different experts from government as well as from citizens, expertise in the area of lake, and all the different lake teams. We have about 20 different lake teams so far who have come forward to join this. Discussions. The names are there, and it was also there in the flyer. So we have distributed the names. So just to go in the background, this idea for bringing different lake teams together and bringing the synergy of lake activity on a common platform started with quite some time back when there were some residents who came together to figure out to work for the Arekere Lake initially. And that first also like to introduce the team members of the Arekere Neighborhood Improvement Trust. To begin with, we have Vandana from Arekere Neighborhood Improvement Trust. We have Veena Hegde from the Arekere Neighborhood Improvement Trust. We have Mika and then we have Aradhana Treasurer, Arekere Improvement Trust. Amitabh there from the Arekere.
Thank you.
And of course myself and the chairperson of the Arekere Neighborhood Improvement Trust. Now going back, how it started is we had been looking at the activities of the So the motivation for this started when we were visiting the Mutinahali Lake, which is on the Banagata Road on the way to Brigade Millennium, and there we have seen that one of the lake teams, Lake Isha and Aarti, who have been working for the development, and that lake has been renovated in the past. So that was a trigger when we felt that this is an important activity. We should be able to replicate this model and go also for the other lake. And we figured the Arekere lake, which today actually is in a very bad condition.
Hello.
It's okay? Yeah. So which is in a very bad condition, almost depleted of water, which should be the one that should be brought, should be renovated. Now, so that is where the discussion started. Then we worked on how to form the trust. We had discussion about whether to form a trust or a society or a not-for-profit organization, things like this. And finally we decided that it should be in the form of a trust. So once we have the trust, the most important thing in this activity is to figure out how to involve more and more people and how to bring local residents together. So for that, we thought that we need to have a campaign where we can bring different people together. And at the same time, we also realized that lake activity or development of lake is not an independent activity. They have a dependency among each other. So that is in the form of interconnectivity. Because of the natural terrain of the landscape of Bangalore, they have a dependency and interconnectivity. And therefore it is important that the different states which are working together come together to take the synergy of their activities, to take advantage of the synergy of activities. That was one thing. Then we also met president from Citizen Action Forum, Mr. Ashwin, and he also talked to them, and they have done a lot of work with respect to lake activities, working with High Court, making petitions, and working that they get the right focus from the government in meeting the requirement of the city in terms of water problem, as well as improving the eco environment of the city. The other thought process that had gone in, which is with respect to some meeting that I had attended about 5 months back, where Ashwin was there, and one of the ideas that he talked about was, can New India make it? That was a very provocative idea. So that was a very provocative thought and discussion about can New India make it? Actually the agenda was can New India make it? Many directions, but ultimately can New India make it? Now, when we talk of New India, what is New India is the citizens who think that they are a stakeholder in the problem of the city. They do not remain a bystander. They feel that if there are problems in the city and it is affecting us, it is on the part of the government to solve the problem, as well as we cannot simply keep grieving, we cannot simply keep criticizing and saying that things are not working. We need to come together. That is the idea of doing. And anyone who is working for solving any kind of problem which helps common people, is part of it. New India is a concept. It is not divided by religion, caste, states, and other things. Anyone who is not a bystander, who decides that he will not remain a bystander and he will be a stakeholder in the development process, in the process of public problem solving, is part of it. And I like that idea of public problem solving that was propagated by Ashwin Mahesh, that it's a very powerful message that resonates with all the people who want to make a difference. That how we can be part of this public problem solving space in the city, whether it is waste, whether it is garbage, whether it is any kind of issue, whether it is a water problem or whether it is environment or corruption or anything. So I feel this concept needs to be taken forward, and the one thing that makes it more powerful when we talk of New India and public problem solving is that this becomes much more powerful when different groups working together come on. Individually, yes, we all are working, but together the power gets magnified many times, and the ability to bring the change and ability to make a difference becomes that much. Not only that, if we are able to do certain things, if we are able to make a small contribution one place, that also is a trigger that also motivates many other people to make up such things. Because they see that one person, one team is able to do certain things, and why not we can also do. One example is the ANIT, where we found the motivation was from the professional day, and we figured that if they are able to do things, why not we can also do things. And therefore we came to this on the ANIT, and then now we are at this point where we are not only trying to work for the ANIT, for the RKA. Okay, is it better? Yeah. Mobile. So when what I was talking is that Putana Lake was a motivation, and we felt that if one thing can do, why can't we also do? And then we found that we need to bring the synergy, we need to bring different people. So the concept of New India and public problem solving was one motivation. Then we had the discussion with Citizen Action Forum, and we found that already quite a good amount of work has been done. They have made different petitions to government and to our High Court, and High Court also has today been working, getting involved in this activity and giving it due importance and giving directions to government to solve this problem. So we see that there is a very good synergy of thought process in government, in high court, in citizens, and in among residents in general, which is a golden opportunity for us to come together and see that together how can we work together, how can we take advantage of the support that we can receive from each of the stakeholders in this process and make a difference to the lakes in Bangalore, which ultimately is going to be one of the major solutions, one of the major components for solving the water problem. Alone we may not be able to make much. Alone we may only do a small thing, but together we will be able to make it. We can make a difference and we will make it. So with this, I will invite Geeta to carry forward the discussion with the different people and bring the agenda. I will just briefly read out the agenda. So it starts with Dr. Ashwin Mahesh from One Bengaluru and also Lok Sabha party member. He is an urban expert and we can talk more about it. So that will be the first talk by Ashwin Mahesh. Then we have Dr. Ravi Lal, CEO of the Lake Development Authority. Will be talking about the viewpoint from the LDA viewpoint. Then we have Mr. Brijesh Kumar, Chief Conservator of Forest from DPMP, and he will be sharing a model of how DPMP can work together with citizens and residents of Bangalore for lake activities. Then we have Sri N.S. Mukunda, Citizen Action Forum, President Citizen Action Forum, and he will be sharing the citizens' viewpoint from a different perspective. Followed by this, we will have a discussion and best practices sharing among some of the lake teams. Then we will break for tea, and subsequently, after the tea break, we will have a brainstorming session among different lake teams to figure out how to take this initiative forward. How do we work together? What should be the framework? What should be the model under which we can framework? What we can work together? We can share our experiences. We can work on the issues, and we can track the status of individual lakes as well as the issues affecting all the lakes. I invite Mr.
Good morning, everybody. Before we begin, I would like to thank Professor D.V.R. Sheshadri, who is the adjunct faculty of IMB. Without his support and encouragement, we wouldn't have been able to book this place. It is because of him that we've been able to book this classroom. The tea, snacks, coffee break, everything is thanks to D.V.R. Sheshadri. So now I would like to invite Dr. Ashwin Mahesh to share his experiences with us. I would like to tell you a little bit about Dr. Ashwin Mahesh. He attended the Army High School in Bangalore, class of 1986, and then studied physics at St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science. He is MS in astronomy and PhD in geophysics. He has also worked with NASA in USA. He returned to India in 2004. Since then, he has been working mostly on urban development issues and on technologies to strengthen public administration. He also has a research appointment at the IIM Bangalore and at the CISTUP in IIC. He is also an adjunct faculty appointed with IIIT Bangalore. He has been associated with the anti-corruption initiative, Corruption Saku, from its inception, and has played an active part in IAC's demand for the Jana Lokpal bill in Karnataka. He has participated for many years in various initiatives of Lok Sabha Andolan, beginning with the campaign for electoral reforms. He is awarded Ashoka Fellow, a global social entrepreneurship recognition, which was given in 2009. He has worked with many civic society groups in the city from time to time and a variety of urban issues. Big Ten bus system is a brainchild of Dr. Ashwin Mahesh. Please welcome Dr. Ashwin Mahesh.
Just one thing I would like to tell the audience that we will be having the question answer after each presentation and also with the government representatives. What I request is the question should focus on the future and how we can work together to make things better and not about past and why things are not working. So let us look for the future and let us look for opportunities rather than looking for things that are not working.
I have a small submission to make. I represent Sarikki Lake area. My name is Professor Kumar. My submission is most of these kind of meetings I have attended and I will be attending in future. We have a standard park system and each of the speakers tend to come with a PPT and make an effective presentation of a great job being done by them. And so much time out of 2 hours which you have scheduled for the past will be lost more in hearing out what each one has done rather than the very central issue of the cause for what we are meeting. And make the session more interactive so that we keep other things low key and focus on the central issue. Make it instead of a monologue. Because the moment you said, we will have a lot of time for interaction during break or at the end and all that, I would rather prefer that submission or presentation by individuals be very focused and sharp and have more interaction.
Thank you.
That is my suggestion.
I
hope
I get your point.
will carry
We
the
have this interaction after each. That is why we have thought that the presentation will not be a big one. It will be more interaction.
I don't have a
after
presentation.
sessions. Yeah, so Mr. Kumar, we will have the brainstorming session subsequently. Last 1 hour is reserved for this brainstorming.
Thank you, sir.
In fact, if I may, just to clarify, we have actually given time slots to each person. So,
No, since I did
we
not
will
get the
ask-
program sheet, I got worried.
Having been preempted by your concerns, sir, I'm also. For me, this whole thing started, I have to say, about 3 or 4 years ago. I study urbanization and urban development here in Bangalore. I'm in IIM Bangalore. And one of the ideas that I have been working with and researching repeatedly is the idea of the publicly managed city. Right? And I'll explain what I mean by this. That in all over the world, you have public administration, citizens, elected representatives. This is a very standard kind of model that exists in every democracy. But increasingly in urban areas, there is good evidence that management of complex problems by appointed or elected stakeholders alone is actually a very limiting.
Let our guest
BBMP councillor from Marikere.
Our pleasure to have him here with us. Big activity has been facilitated for some of the work that is going on for that. Please welcome.
So there's considerable evidence now that the world's best cities, and if you look at I'm sure all of you read tons of magazines in which they put out lists of the world's best this and that, and India's best one and so on. But increasingly, what you're seeing in catalogs or lists of the world's best cities is that the greatest cities in the world are the ones where people feel connected to the destiny of the city, where people feel they have a stake in determining what happens in their neighborhood and in the city as a whole, and that they have worked out mechanisms for doing this in a systematic way. Not just leaving it to the enthusiasm or the passion of individual citizens in some neighborhoods, but say that as a government, that what we must really promote is public problem solving in a particular way. In India, many of you know this, that for a variety of things, whether it's water supply, sanitation, transportation, the problems seem to be running at 100 kilometers per hour, and the solutions seem to be running at 100 kilometers per hour. It's very simple restatement of the macro issues at some level. So the question is, how do you create a scenario in which your capacity to solve problems is as powerful as the speed at which the problems appear themselves? And here, this is where I have an idea. And my suggestion is that you can never implement a solution fast enough to tackle it everywhere. Instead, we have to build a society in which what we scale is not the solution, but instead we scale the number of problem-solving people. But if you scale the number of problem-solving people, the capacity for problem-solving actually increases much faster than anything that a formal setup can do. And the number of problems such people can solve is also significantly larger as a result of that. The question then for us is, how do you scale the number of people? Now, there's good evidence of this, not necessarily only from Western countries. The The country where this has gone, this model of urban management has gone the farthest is South Africa. And not many of us generally think that South Africa is a place to learn too many things from. They've done some remarkable things since independence, both in electoral reform and in urban administration in particular. In South Africa, they have this thing called the CID, they call it, the City Improvement District. The City Improvement District is an interesting idea. People in a particular neighborhood go to the municipality and offer to pay additional taxes. Right? How many of you have gone to BBMP and offered to pay additional taxes? Many have gone to BBMP and offered to pay less taxes. But imagine this, people in a municipal area go to their city government and offer to pay more taxes under a certain framework. The condition is simple. The additional taxes that are paid by the people is returned directly to the community itself. So the municipality becomes a way of channeling the money back to the community itself under some legal framework authorized by city government and revocable by city government at any time to manage their areas. And this, it is not meant to be a substitute for municipal services, it is meant to augment municipal services. Originally, this demand came about from the businesses. There is no denying that fact. Obviously, business districts all over the world feel that their parts of the city need special attention. But we all feel that our part of the city needs special attention. No, there's nothing unusual about that. But the idea was that if you allowed certain parts of the city to accelerate economic development, they would in turn have spin-off benefit for other parts of the city too. If nothing else, the municipality need not spend so much money in business areas, and they ought to be able to use the money that is saved even to do a better job in poorer areas. So this was, it was packaged in a particular way. Canada is another place where they have a lot of city improvement districts in urban areas also. Now, initially it was believed that only rich neighborhoods would do these kinds of things. And when Santon came up outside Johannesburg, it was thought to be the worst kind of thing, which is to say that rich people essentially are segregating themselves from the city, asking for certain monies to be controlled directly by them, and to work on these things. Those concerns will continue to be there. But now a remarkable thing is happening. In the townships in Soweto outside of Johannesburg, poor people are going to the government and saying, give us control of our neighborhoods under this framework, we will manage it ourselves. So as an idea, it's validating itself in communities across different economic groups, and is not necessarily restricted to one set of users only. So there's increasing evidence. I was in Barcelona about 7 or 8 months ago. In Barcelona, the debate in one neighborhood, I actually attended a community debate in one neighborhood, and they were arguing about whether the footpath should be 9 meters wide or 12 meters wide. I think we'll be happy if the entire carriageway is 9 meters wide or 12 meters. But the reality is, once citizens get involved in everyday management of their public spaces and in their community affairs, there is an automatic and incremental improvement of their system that happens. Because we all know what's the next thing to be done in each of our spheres of influence. In a large municipality, especially, BBMP is a massive municipality. I mean, you should not be under any illusion. BBMP is 10 million people, roughly now, over 750 to 800 square kilometers. And the administrative machinery that is expected to manage this space and population is extraordinarily small. Extraordinarily small. And extraordinarily difficult to staff properly because of the way the municipal staffing rules are. There's lots of problems that have built up over many years which need to be addressed. And these things are not going to be addressed overnight. Therefore, it's all the more reason why, in addition to what the government is able to achieve, it's important for citizens to ask what is it that we can add to augment the capacity of government. And in this, many of you know this, I keep going back to what Abraham Lincoln said at the Battle of Gettysburg. He talked about democracy as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. What we are doing here is government by the people. In some way, this is really not just a late thing. It's true that people like Tushar and Aarti, and to some extent we went and fixed Puttanahari Lake under a particular model. I think even BBMP was quite smart in embracing this. BBMP understood that when citizens came forward to do these kind of things, It alleviated their own expectation and burden and made it possible for them to focus on policy. The chief engineer was just now telling me about a policy that they are developing for lakes in the city. And this is the most important thing that has happened as a result of our participation. It frees the public administration space to concentrate on policy and on guidelines and regulatory frameworks and not worry so much about the actual implementation. That can be done in there are many diverse ways in which that can be done. And we've seen this in other areas too. Solid waste management is another area where, in my belief, what the city does with solid waste management is terrible compared to what citizens do. The solutions to the solid waste problems in the city are well known to each one of us. Consume less, generate less waste, make sure that you have properly priced the trash that is carried outside your municipality. Don't just take it into other people's communities and dump it in landfills and expect them to live with it. These are all well-known solutions. The polluter pays principle has been around for decades. But nonetheless, we have not yet adopted these things. So what has happened? Individual citizens in their communities have said, I'm going to do the right thing anyway, whether the law requires me to do it or not. And then they start to figure out that there's actually some money in it. If you look at BBMP's solid waste management contracts, 3 of those contracts are such that BBMP pays the contractor. The 4th contractor is such that the contractor pays BBMP. So there is a great shift in thinking about how to manage the city and how to especially manage your resources in the city, natural resources, public resources, and assets. We've also done some other things which fit this model, which you may not immediately associate. I'm sure most of you have been on Vittal Road. Vittal Road was built by the business community, substantially by Prestige and a few others, who are on that road. They are anchor tenants and anchor land users of that road. Of course, there was BBMP participation, but essentially the idea was the same, that you could have a neighborhood in the city that was improved by the finances of the people in that neighborhood itself at their own cost. So with a bunch of specifications from BBMP, with a bunch of other things, we were able to create a model road. We were able to create a model road. And there are certain things about the way that road was built that if you are able to repeat that kind of infrastructure in other parts of the city, it would be extremely helpful. So the question is no longer in my mind whether this model is acceptable to BBMP or the government. It's clearly acceptable to BBMP based on their own initiatives so far. And clearly at the government level too, we have put this in the urban development policy. I was one of the people that wrote the urban development policy for the state. And we have put it in the policy that communities must be actually encouraged to take up responsible management of their respective neighborhoods under a certain framework. Now, so for me, today's meeting in some ways is validation that it is possible to scale that up. Starting with what is done in 1 or 2 lakes, and also other citizens groups like in Kaikotwalli, in Balipura, other things were done where local citizens themselves came forward to manage the lakes and to solve the problems in those areas. So it's a repeatable thing. It's a repeatable thing. But there are challenges. It's new terrain. The idea of democracy in this country has focused on a particular kind of model. It has assumed that the state must bear the greatest responsibility for outcomes, and the state and its machinery of public administration must deliver these outcomes to citizens. But the world is changing. The world is changing not only because of technology, the world is changing because of a different understanding of citizenship and democracy itself. And we must keep up with this change. There is no doubt in any of our minds that we have fallen behind the rest of the world in the last 30, 40 years. If we continue to fall behind in the next 30, 40 years, it will not be because of technology, it will not be because of knowledge deficits, but it will be because once again we fail to adapt to a reality that is being embraced by so many other people. Urbanization and globalization are the defining phenomena of our age. That if we don't know how to crack this thing in a way that is competitive with other cities around the world, we're going to continuously fall behind. And the ability to compete lies in each one of us in our respective neighborhoods, and the capacity for us to create a governance framework that promotes this kind of stuff. So So this is what we must aim for. One is to say, I live in a particular area, I have a lake over here, which looks like it's been contaminated and encroached upon. How do we figure out how to uncontaminate it, unencroach it, and make it a public space accessible to one person? This is a very important question, but it's also a very limited question. If we focus on the question in this limited way, we will come up with some local answers that work without fundamentally transforming the nature of the problem and the way we approach the problem. So what I would encourage you to do is two things. By all means, let us have brainstorming sessions among ourselves to decide what should be done in individual cases to fix problems. But more importantly, we must ask ourselves, what is the contribution that we are able to make to evolving a new model for how these things are done, which is scalable in this particular domain across lakes, but also scalable as a model for urban governance itself. Because if we begin to institute that, then we will see so many other things happening in the city. And all of these things adding up is really what we call development. Development is not merely the additive value that you can create in one domain, but how do you become able to create similar value in multiple domains using a model in which all of these things talk to each other. So I won't say anything more than this. This is my motivation. When I said some 3-4 maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, that we must set up this One Bangalore working group. And One Bangalore is sort of, at some level, it's a manifestation of this effort. To say that we will push for public problem solving using citizen efforts and citizen engagement of government in different spheres. So we will do this in lakes, we will do this in waste management, we will do this in water supply, we will do this in every area where such integration and participative development is necessary. And I want to encourage each one of you to think of yourself as a public problem-solving person. Because if you begin to think of yourself as a public problem-solving person, your capacity to engage with and identify multiple problems and solve each one of them becomes that much greater. And that's where the real potential for development lies in our city. Our institutions of governance are weak. They are not going to be able to accelerate development to keep up with the way things are going on in the world. It is up to us, each one of us, individually, to provide that impetus to accelerate this thing. So while we do lakes, we do other things too. For those of you who are interested in more things beyond working on lakes, you must figure out how to be part of that in your respective neighborhoods and join that as well. And there are multiple pieces now. I do some technology stuff with my community. Mira does some stuff with Citizen Matters. There's a phenomenal amount of lake coverage in each of the different communities that where Citizen Matters is delivered. Many of the reports about lakes are actually written by citizens themselves. There's also an opportunity for us to create our own media. To be able to say that we don't become reliant on somebody else to come and tell us what is happening in our neighborhood, but we ought to be able to document it ourselves in a reliable way. So this it spans media, technology, problem solving, ideation, innovation, design. There are some design companies. Many of you have seen the Big Ten bus. If you look at the logo of the Big Ten bus and look at it carefully, the word Big Ten is written in a way that it reads Big Ten both in English and in Kannada. It actually won innovation awards for advertising long before it won innovation awards for transportation. So what I'm saying is that in each of us there is a professional capacity to contribute to the larger whole. And it is this integration that we must push for while we work on the individual problems. Thank you very much for coming this morning, and let's hope we have a really good session.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwin Mahesh. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Ravi Rao, CEO of LDA, Lake Development Authority. I would like to tell you a little bit about before we go on to Dr. Ravi Rao, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Somesh. He is the Assistant Executive Engineer of BDA. So we have a representative from BDA as well, apart from BBMP and LDA, and also our local cooperator of Arkere, Mr. Ravi. Moving on to introduction on Dr. Ravi Rao. Dr. Ravi Rao is a PhD in zoology. The subject of his PhD was self-purification of river Ganga at Varanasi from Banaras Hindu University in 1984. He joined the Indian Forest Services in 1980 and was allotted Karnataka Cadre. After 2 years vocational training course at the Indian Forest College, now Indira Gandhi National Forest Academy at Dehradun, was posted to various parts of Karnataka, serving as Deputy Conservator of Forests, and Chief Conservator of Forests in the Karnataka Forest Department. He attended various national and international seminars in India and abroad. Dr. Raviraj, presently posted as Chief Executive Officer of Lake Development Authority. He has published 34 articles, holds a patent for an instrument, and his interests are in reading, writing, photography, and writing. Let us please welcome Dr. Raviraj.
Good morning once again, ladies and gentlemen, very eminent citizens who have gathered here, and my friends. Before I start speaking anything about this, I must confess that Professor Kumar has said something which I firmly believe. Number one, there should not be any waste of time in PowerPoint presentations. Number two, if possible, it should not be a monologue. It should be a dialogue. Nevertheless, but before I start, I would also like to ascertain how much time is there, because that was also the point. How much time is allotted to me? So I should not. Okay. Great. So this is it. But then another thing is that I have brought not a PowerPoint presentation, but some slides, which I believe, and that is not of what we have done and what we would be doing. It is something for information of this gathering. Because all of you are interested in lakes, and I deem it fit to provide you some information, some basic information on the lakes of Bangalore city, the lakes of PMRDA, and also the lakes of Karnataka. Because I personally think that many of you might not have had the opportunity to get this information, and that is why I selected a few slides so that I could present these slides to you. And another thing which I would like to state very early in my talk to you is that please feel free to stop me or to interrupt me anywhere, because what happens sometimes, you have some doubt or question in mind and you wait for the session to conclude, and then by the time you really miss the link and the line, and you forget about it. So you are most welcome to stop me any time you feel and ask me something, and I try my best to provide an answer. I don't assure you that I would be able to satisfy your question, but then I will try my best. So with this, actually, what Dr. Ashwin Mahesh has spoken about, and his talk was so brilliant and so brilliantly constituted, so apt and so very exact. I must congratulate him, and I must congratulate all of us here that we have had the opportunity to listen to him. After he had spoken, I don't think anything more needs to be spoken on the how and what and all those things. There's hardly anything left to be. But then again, I will be giving you some statistics, some figures, and telling you how best we can go together now. The first thing which Dr. Gupta has also been mentioning, and he has repeated this expression many a time, which you must have noted also, is the key word is synergy. The key word is absolutely synergy. Now the thing is, there might have been time when the government and the citizen were two different entities, very difficult to come together, but now I am talking about the contemporary times. This is the time when we do not have these very strict barriers in most of the departments. As was also spoken that the BBMP is very, it's not today, it has been realized a long time back, but the evolution has taken its own time for things to happen, and today we are most welcome in most of the departments of the government. We deal with these subjects. We look forward to synergy because, as you know, we do not really have the resources, manpower, finances. We do not have the resources to really address these problems and solve these problems. So it's very, very necessary, it's essential, in fact, that you have to come forward. The only problem is that I would also like to say that you, and I may be forgiven to say this, you represent a very, very marginalized percentage representative of our community. You may understand and you may go and say, I will do the best, whether, I'll do the correct thing, whether the government says it's right, wrong, or whatever it is. But then how many of you can really say that and do it and make a difference? Because 99% of the people do not understand it and will take a long time to people who really go, just step out of the door and just go away. It's not you, it's not most of you, it's people who really need to be there. And therefore, this information, this burden of responsibility falls on shoulders of people like you, who have to see that something is. And you are doing a fantastic job. Now let me tell you, I have just been able to have a very preliminary discussion with you regarding Jarkanhalli and Sarki Kotanhalli, because this lake is known by 3 different names because it has been catering to 3 different villages: Kotanhalli, Jarkanhalli, and of course Sarki. The very first, I must also tell you that I have been here in the Lake Development Authority, CEO, for the last 3 months. And the very first week of my having taken charge, after I had taken charge, I had gone and visited this Sarki and Jarkanhalli because there was a petition and somebody was really, and he had written a very, very doleful and very sort of emotional petition that something should be done about it. So we had gone there, and when I went there, I found, to my horror, that there's a road which has been created, the fencing were broken. It's not that because there is some deficiency or some problem with our department or with the Lake Development Authority or whoever has the custody. It's not that. Sometimes it happens that many a time things go out of control for the time being. Till we go back again and try to correct these things, and there also we require your cooperation, and you must stand by us when we have to do that. Now, when I visited Jarkanhalli Lake, I saw that the mesh which was constructed by the Forest Department and subsequently by GBAP was not broken. Broken because the wonderful road has been created right inside the lake jurisdiction, the premises of the lake. And because of this road, people would not like to come out of their houses and walk there, and where there's already one breach which has been made into the fence, they would like to have a breach, another breach right in front of their door, and so on and so forth. So therefore, basically, there is hardly any mesh there, it's only porch. How do and who? You are not staying there, and I'm sure. Who will take the responsibility of seeing that the people who matter, as Dr. Ashwin said, that we should do it? Who are we? I'm not you. You are too minuscule. You are too much in my knowledge. Even if you say you do, I don't think you can really make that difference which is required. So the basic idea is to educate the housewives. Basic idea is to educate and to motivate the mothers, because they are the pillars of the household. It is they who have to take care of the future generation. These are the people who have to be told that this is not good just to step out with your garbage or whatever and just go out and throw it wherever you can. But it should not be right in front of your door. It could be anywhere. This tendency, it is not only there. This tendency is throughout the country. I've seen it everywhere. I'm from UP. I'm from Varanasi, and I've seen other places also. This is the tendency which we all have. This is the tendency which, friends, needs to be addressed. This is if we do not, and if we cannot do it, any amount of your getting together and brainstorming and all those things is not really going to do. Trust me, I have seen it. I have gone after the BBMP and other those trippers carrying waste just to see where they are throwing it. I have spent a lot of time in these 3 months, of course. And believe me, I have found that the only problem is this. And I will be coming to other problems which we in the Lake Development Authority have, and this is only for your information. It is nothing to say that we are blah blah blah, we are wonderful and we have done this and this. That's not the idea at all. So anytime, anywhere, whenever you find you have some question or some doubt or something which you would like to bring to my notice, you are free
If
to
I
do that.
can just make a comment. My name is Usha Rajgopal and I am from Kotanhalli Lake. We have this problem of people bleaching our fence, but we have very vehemently opposed it found ways of solving the problem as to why people breach it. In our case, there was a colony of laborers staying there in a vacant property owned by a builder. His laborers were staying there. They used to cut through the fence. So one day we found they were going to fetch drinking water. We contacted the owner, got him to install a tank there, syntax tank, and now twice a day the tank is getting filled with water. Those people don't cut. And I would like to tell this to all the lake groups, it is possible. So there's no need to have any apprehension, especially the BBFP supporting us tremendously. We have managed to solve a lot of these little problems. Thank you.
My name is Prabhash Rai. I am the President of Development Development Association and it is not been registered as yet. But 5 of us, we have formed an association and we have spent money from our own pocket. Now, this is the photo I have taken all the dancing, everything we are doing it by ourselves. And how is the lake looking within just 20 days. I have given all the photographs to Mr. Kumar and he has visited the lake with the Manish Kumar. And this is the this thing that Justice Arti, when he came, I had given a comment from in the Times of India and everything. This was like this. Today, just without anybody's support, without just anybody's help, we want to register it as a society, we want to register it as a trust, but nobody is giving permission, just for the simple reason that it is not in their hand. Permission to register as a legal body, as a trust.
I will answer this.
All right, Mr. Brajesh Kumar is looking into it, you can answer it, but this is really commendable. Whatever you have done.
And in spite of that, every Sunday we are, even today also, every Sunday we are holding meetings, hundreds of people are attending and they are giving donations and we are accepting donations and giving their balance sheets every week. It is unaudited plus financial statements. The copy is also here.
I'm sure you are doing a wonderful job.
Yes, and within 1 month, I am sure that whatever it is, that lake will be a beauty of joy. A thing of beauty will be joy forever.
Joy forever. And I will be the first person if you invite
Yes,
me to.
I will
Or even if you don't, I will come with you. Mr. Brajesh Kumar will answer your specific question. Man, you have done a real good job. Now, I have seen those laborers also who have those makeshift, please, makeshift tarpaulin, that blue color tarpaulin, and they stay there
Yes,
on the northern side. I have seen that.
Yes.
And I was wondering what you people are laborers for.
Yes.
Now the thing is that these are not really people who are contaminated. The real problem is, if you have seen from the Jarganhalli side of the lake, from the Jarganhalli village side of the lake, there is a broken open sewage,
No,
raw
but
sewage.
sir, I am in the much smaller Puttanalli lake.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
are-
in the
All right, no problem, no problem.
And we would like a big board put up there saying that is Saraki stroke.
All right. I stand corrected. My only point is I was basically and specifically referring to your Saraki, that Puttanhalli, Jarganhalli lake. There, this problem of this. There I have seen, and the BBFP is doing a great job there. They have started visiting homesteads, door to door, trying to motivate people and especially the women folk to segregate the waste and all those things. So they are doing it. But there are a lot more needs to be done. You all, I don't have to say that we have a problem, the problem of population and
Sorry for my intervention, but this could be a subject of deeper discussion at a later point in time. But since you have brought up this subject, to mention here, and you are referring to in your presentation the lake for which we have formed the trust. Okay, the road band, the tank band road. One of the sorry state of affairs I am told is, for a period of time that road will be a reality, which I do not want it to be a reality. But unfortunately, people who have visited that lake and who have seen the road already in use day in and day out, there is not one single authority, including all the dignitaries on the stage and outside, who can say, I am in charge of this lake, I will block the movement of building up of that road. Nobody knows who is building that road. That is the sorry state of affairs. somebody should take responsibility. But stealthily, if I may be permitted to use that word, the neighborhood wants that road. And there are some interested parties who want that road. They want access towards Kanakapura via Jaraganahalli to the metro station which will come there. And there is no plan by BBMP or any urban development authority that we will give an alternative access to the metro station on the other side of the, on this Jaraganahalli, so that people can access the metro station easily. So nothing is made known to the public at large. So a group of interested individuals, if I may say so, they are stealthily building that road and not allowing any of your authorities, including BDA, BBMP and others, who have not gathered guts to surveillance day in and day out and stop further development of that road and tell them we have a grand plan to provide you the access on the other side to reach the metro station. But nothing is being done. We discuss in forums like this, we highlight the issue. Since you came to that particular lake and that particular road, I want to know who among the people present here will say, I will take the support of the police or any other surveillance agency and insist that the road should not, construction of the road should not be progressed, and we have a different plan to provide access. And mind you, that road, though may become a part of the public road, is really an encroachment. And somebody should recognize that encroachment.
Professor, actually the thing is, similar problems lot of lake teams are facing, we are facing. In fact, a lot of encroachment has happened even at Argere Lake. But the fact remains that today these people are here and they are here to help us. So, and also Mr. Raviraj, personally speaking, we've gone to his office 2 times and both the times we've been able to meet him and talk to him. He's an extremely approachable person. So if you have any doubts, you can go to his office, sit with him, discuss it out with him. Yeah. While the encroachment is definitely a problem.
When I started this work, I have been, people have come almost to manhandle me. But my courage and conviction, yes, I will do it. I stood by that. I telephoned to the jurisdiction of the police. They came with a Jeep. They put around 5 people into this thing. And that one day, one lady was walking, her Mangalasutra was bent. I just thought out of this person, and then immediately he threw it and ran away. These kind of things are happening day in and day out. And yet, sorry to offer, not to offend.
Sir, if we can make sure. Let us focus on the future, and because we are running short of time, our objective is also to listen to all the people and actually have brainstorming, as Professor Kumar has said. So we have reserved 1 hour of time for brainstorming of how the different lake teams can share their experiences, can work together, can bring the synergy operation as we appreciate it. So that will be the focus, and we will limit we have a 15-minute presentation maximum and about 5 to 10 minutes of discussion with each person, otherwise we will run short of time. So I request people to please cooperate in this.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, but I would also say that if you because it's already in motion and there should not be any inertia to be broken later. If you wish, you can have a brainstorming session as far as I am concerned or we are concerned at this point also, and then we'll manage to arrange the time later, whichever way. But my point to you, Dr. Kumar, is that you have really said, what I was telling you about the Jaraganhalli, Puntanhalli, Sarki Lake was only that this is one example where I have seen people coming. I mean, the type of education which needs to be given to people, as far as the road is concerned, I do not know, but I believe Mr. Brajesh Kumar, because the BBMP is in custody, that you said who will do it and how will do it, and nobody knows, that is true. And as you know, there has been a lot of pressure and a lot of problems also in that. Since you could be personally knowing about that, you have been following it. You would be knowing about it too. Now the thing is that the BBMP is taking up the reconstruction of the fencing. And once the fence is there, it's definitely not going to be broken. And I think they have their own plans to see how best it can be. A lot needs to be done on this keeping the NGO sewage and how to do that. And de-weeding. De-weeding again is a very big problem. You must have seen everywhere. De-weeding is a problem. Since I am speaking and I am technically a person who knows about it, and many of you would be knowing much more than I do, is that weeding, of course, is because of the phosphate, basically of the nitrate, fine, but also the phosphate in the detergents that we use normally. That is, yeah.
My name is Ganguly. I'm Athoredi. I want to have.
Can we just wait for him to finish and then we can.
So it's a concern to the development of the lake. Okay.
sir, you are fencing all the lakes, is it? I want to know why you are fencing all the lakes, first thing. Second thing is, essential water is needed for all animals and birds. So when you fence it and lock it, have you thought of that? Deers and cheetahs and other things are approaching the lake. Not possible. Nowadays there is a lot of lack of water causing the real problem.
I think this is going into the question answer session. We have not heard what the authorities have to really say. They have, each of them have got a small slot, very small slot. They will say their say and then we will question them. Please.
No, madam, this is
Well,
a major.
then
No,
we
this is a
have
major problem. I tell you. See, every birds and animals have equal rights to drink water. When you are fencing it outskirts, I will show you that it cannot approach the water. Without water, you can't survive on the day. How you allow the things to survive?
that
It is not my
actually
concern.
that's a
It
point
is
we
the
will think about.
environment and the people. It's
Can I
our
answer you,
duty to
please?
see that we are
I
providing.
have understood fairly well your concern. If you would just take your seat.
Yes, sir.
Number one,
Yes, sir.
the lakes are being fenced not to stop any animal, or that is not the basic idea. The idea is to see that it is not encroached. Just let me please complete. Our lakes, especially in Bangalore, we have got 207 lakes in the Bangalore city limits, and I am talking about the lakes which have still a spread of water. More than 75 or 80% of the lakes in Bangalore city, as elsewhere, have already gone dry. These are the problems. Now you have to, your problem can be answered only if you go back into time and find out what is the real problem that we are facing in Bangalore and why we are taking this mitigative steps of fencing. Number one, we are fencing because most of the lakes are being encroached left, right and center, as anybody who is looking into the lakes would say. That is why, just please hear me out and then you can put your question. We have had several very highly placed committees. And the recent one, which was headed by Mr. Justice Patil, that was a High Court committee, constituted committee, who had to look into the ground realities of lakes and to see how best these lakes can be preserved. And they had asked the concerned BDMD, BD and people who are LDA, people who have had jurisdiction and custody of the lakes, to prepare an action plan. And the very first thing which was approved by everybody and all the wisdom which had collected was to see that each and every lake, first number one, should be surveyed and fenced. Surveyed vis-a-vis the revenue record, and to see if there is any encroachment. This is the directive of the High Court. And not like that. It has gone into the real detail for 3-4 years. And thereafter they have come. So believe me that a very, very important and very, very terrible problem which you are facing right now in Bangalore and everywhere else in Karnataka as far as lakes are concerned is encroachment. We have to take it now. Let me tell you one thing. This is encroachment number one. Number two, as you say, bird. Do you know that our idea for a big lake, big enough in the sense, I am not saying, I cannot really define what is big, but you can say something like maybe 20 acres plus or whatever it is. The idea is to restore a lake to its pristine glory of ecological niche. Lake basically is an ecological unit. If I have to talk like a zoologist, I would say that this is an ecological unit of a lentic system. This is it, and it has to be restored and preserved to the extent that birds come and stay there. We are also going into wetlands and all those things. This is basically to attract birds. A lake cannot be, and then, it's not necessary, and you don't find deer anywhere here. And wild animals.
That's also fenced. And as per your fencing, I accept. Okay, because people should not encourage that, and we are fencing. Why you are not taken precautions to see that at least some lower level has to be kept that birds and other deers, mongoose and other things can come and approach and drink and go.
I'll tell you, as far as the mongoose is concerned and small mammals are concerned, they have ample space to go inside and come out. Birds don't need to fencing.
There are different types of species, birds and all. There are some other places of fence near kangaroo and all. I'll show you leopards, deers.
I can only tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing, that your concern has been amply and fully considered. Don't.
Okay, thank you.
Also, I would like to clarify, there is a High Court order by Justice Patil which says that all lakes have to be fenced.
No, I am not against the fencing. I am
must let the proceedings go on. You cannot abruptly hang on to one issue all through the 2 hours.
We will have this
Please stop,
subsequent.
pause for a while and listen to them. Think.
No, no,
And then during interaction, stop.
See, the enthusiasm is fantastic. We all are very passionate people. We are very passionate towards lakes. It can be seen very easily. It's a subject which is very close to all of our hearts. So yeah, it is all coming out. So, but then let us restrict ourselves and let us not ask why this was not done. Let us think how should we do this. Yeah, and let us give them
no, we are
opportunity
not,
to.
madam, we are not asking why it is not done. I
Ladies and
have not seen.
Sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me know here. I am sorry, but if you permit me, I will take back my earlier proposal. Because of the constraint of time, let me finish whatever I have to say. You may find most of it just like that, but maybe some of you might find that whatever I am speaking, or at least part of what I am speaking, or some points, maybe of some interest, and so that's it. So already now we are coming to this particular point where I will be showing you some slides in 2 minutes. But then before that, I would like to tell you one more problem that we are facing. It is not the problem of the lakes that we have with the spread of water, which we normally, technically, we call living lakes. Lakes which have water. Now let me tell you one more thing. We have been analyzing the water quality, which of course I think Dr. Gupta also said that you have also analyzed your lakes for the water quality. So we have been doing it on all the lakes. The Lake Development Authority had conducted this analysis several times during, whole 4 seasons during a year. And of 86 lakes, because the rest of the lakes were dry. They didn't have enough water to, admit any analysis on drawing of water. So we have found that the lakes in Bangalore city, I'm talking about, right now I'm talking only about Bangalore city. We have found that all the lakes are contaminated, and the classification is mid-level pollution of bad. Then none of the lakes are having potable water, or even for recreation, or even for bathing or swimming, or whatever it might be. So that's the situation. And if you really practically go out in the field, you will see that really not a single lake, except for 1 or 2 which has been classified so by the Pollution Control Board. They have said, I'll show it to you on the slide. They have said that this is one lake which has potable water, and of course why? Because there is no residential construction for miles and kilometers. So that is the border somewhere. So that is one lake which, except for that lake, every lake has some trickle of raw sewage or some stormwater drain which is coming. Now, most of you know it very well, but even at the cost of repetition, please let me remind you and tell you why we are having this problem. It is not that what we have done, it is why we are having this problem. As you know that the system of large caliber of stormwater drain is a very old system based on the wisdom of our ancestors who have seen the natural flow of excess rainwater and how it cascades from the upper reaches to down below, and how one lake fills up and then the water follows and goes down. So most of these places where there was depression, lakes have been created, and then they have been joined together by large caliber called the stormwater drain. Now this was a wonderful system, and you must also appreciate that Bangalore city was founded just on the basis and the strength of the lakes that were created, and where the potential was to create the lakes today. We did not have in the past any major river system, as in most of the cities. Cities and towns are always found by the banks, have been found the bank of some river. So these were the lakes which have been catering to the earlier settlement of Bangalore, and they had sort of initiated and then confirmed the system. What has subsequently happened, and all of you know it, but I am only underlining it, is that absolutely unplanned development of Bangalore city. There was absolutely no plan for sewage transmission. There was absolutely no plan for providing water. That is what has happened, that without any under UGD system, people have just gone on and on and on for developing construction and multiplexes and so many things. And normally, and even today, the sewage was immediately and easily introduced into the stormwater drains and Rajkal.
Sir, can you tell us the jurisdiction of LDA which are the lakes which come under BBMP, which come under...
These
are the kind of issues that we are...
You are
this is
actually making
history. I don't think we need...
All right. I just said that even at the cost of repetition, that is what I'm saying. Why and how and what we need to
We
do.
know it all, sir. Can you...
I'll be. Please, can I continue that? First one. All right, this will probably answer your question. All right.
We have already got a list of all the lakes coming under the jurisdiction of each of the government agencies, which I can share also. I have soft copy of that, which I can share.
This gentleman,
And we have got
No,
copy
and
of-
what are the roles? What is the role of LE?
ladies and gentlemen, I am coming to that if you permit me to speak.
So, let us thank Mr. Ravi, who is our cooperator of Arkere. He has been supporting us, he's been our cooperator for the last 10 years, and his support is, he's been supporting us and in the development of Arkere Lake. So, we look forward to your extended support, sir. Thank you so much. Let us
Sir, can you give us your mobile number so that we can contact
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been asked to finish up my whatever I have to say as early as possible, which is a very difficult thing to do, especially when you are so full of enthusiasm and you would like to share hundreds of things with audience who seemingly are very interested, and then you are told that you have to wait. Anyway, now this, I think this answers, gentlemen, this answers your question as to what. Now let me tell you one thing. So the Lake Development Authority has in its custody only 6 lakes as shown here. That is the custody to do implementation. But the Lake Development Authority has jurisdiction over 38,000 lakes in Karnataka. Now is it alright? Now by jurisdiction we mean that we have full administrative control. Anything, any development which needs to be done in the lake has to be vetted by us. We have a technical committee which says yes or no, or provides or suggests modification in any development program. Is it alright? Now I'll go further and you will find out what the BBMP and BD are also doing. These are the actions you can read that when we say about restoration. This is especially, ladies and gentlemen, with regard to the High Court Committee sanctioned action plan for the development of lakes in Bangalore City. These are normally the things which are done. You can read it. This is, first of all, it has to be surveyed that if there is any eviction, enforcement, it needs to be evicted, and then it should be restored by a fencing mesh and all those things. I'll go ahead. And this is just a progress report of what has been done as far as the progress is concerned by various authorities who have the lakes under their custody. This is how it has been done. Now I go further ahead. Now we also have the Government of India which is supporting us as far as financial resources are concerned, and we have it in the NLCP National Lake Conservation Program, and that is how we make PPRs, which is vetted again, as I said, in the Lake Development Authority Technical Committee, and then it is sent to the Government of India for their approval and then sanctioned. Water quality of lake I have already spoken to you about. It is out of 86 lakes that we have done, 39 have been classified as medium and 47 base, and the rest have been said that they are not good for any purpose. And as I said about the Karnataka Pollution Control Board also, they have been conducting the water quality tests. According to them, class A, which they say is potable water, is present only in Magikere and Yadurkere. Yadurkere actually is basically it's in the Yelahanka, Yadurkere. Yadur Lake and Magikere. Yadur Lake is potable water, but then Yadur Lake, sorry, Yadur Lake see that Maggi Kere is the only lake which is not really contaminated by any sewage. And that is why they have classified, and we also say, but again, it's not a water which you can just go and have a dive into and have a swim. That's not possible. This is the BWSSB classification. This is for class B, and so on and so forth. I have already spoken to you about Raj Kalpit. And as I told you, and I was unfortunately interrupted by my friend there. What I was leading to is not that you do not know about Raj Kalpit. I was just saying that our problem is that all the Raj Kalpits which lead to lakes have been contaminated, and therefore the lakes are contaminated. Now, this is the point which I wanted to make when you disturb. The point is that the BWSSB has given an undertaking that by 2014, 15 or 16, they will complete all the UGD lines in Bangalore city, and they have ensured also that not a single drop of contaminated raw sewage could be entering any lake, or for that matter, any Raj Kalpit. This is the point I was trying to make. Now we have to wait till to that time. No, we are not waiting for that time. What the Lake Development Authority has done is has taken certain lakes which we can really do without a very big network of UGDs, is to try to divert the raw sewage which is coming directly. We have already succeeded in 44 lakes, the BBMP has taken up and the BWSFP has taken up with our insistence. This is what I was trying to tell you. Now this is it, and let me go forward. I think I am already fast by time. These are the lakes which have already been done. You can see these 44 lakes. We have already diverted the sewage, not waiting for 2014, 15, 16 for the BWSSB to complete their work and then we can
Can you go back?
Can you go back to the
on public demand.
पूरा लेक क्या है?
It's not been done.
There on the top. Right side. Looks like it is actually wrong.
Let me tell you that Balanpur and Varpur are also two very big lakes which are grossly contaminated and polluted, and we are now addressing and focusing on these two lakes. These are the last two lakes, after Varpur it goes into the South Pinakini, and I mean that's the end of the sewage flow from Bangalore. Anyway, I am also inviting any of you who have time, and if I have time also, because I am very short of time myself. If you would like to know anything specific about any lake or anything regarding lakes, you are most welcome. And I am sure that I will be able to satisfy your. Yes, please.
We are from Vidyaranyapura, North Bangalore, and this is neighboring Yelahanka. This has 3 lakes: Nasipura 1, Nasipura 2, which is currently renovated by the MP, Mr. Rajesh Kumar is aware of it, and Gautamamsandra. And the list that you just showed means no sewage is being let.
They have already, no, ma'am, this is a separate. Already,
I will explain.
They have done it. They have done it. It's not. It's actually these are the 44 lakes which we have started separately. That is what the list is. But the rest of the lakes also. It's not that 44 is the only list that we have. This is one part of the list which we have initiated action now.
No, let me just one minute.
You believe the list is defective, isn't it?
No. There's something else because he was inviting comments about comments about the sewage also. I think sewage treatment plant, because we are in a unique position where we have.
Madam, I'll answer. I'm aware of the issues. I'll answer.
We will take it to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to go further ahead. All right. Now there's a lot to be said about Breach Lake. I'm not going through details because everybody seems to know everything about everything. I would just like to tell you one thing, that the Lake Development Authority is also trying to make up the basic data records, which is very, very important. We have, but we do not have. And let me tell you, with the type of resources, especially manpower resources that we have, the work is progressing, but at a painfully slow rate. Can't tell you, but we are doing our best. Now, one of the things which we are doing is to digitalize all the lakes so that we have the GPS coordinates which will be a reference even in future, even after 10 years. This may be many other ground points may be destroyed, but we will have this data. This is how we have done. This is just an example. This has been sort of overlaid on the Google Earth. This is one of the Krishna Nagar area. So this, like this, we have had lot many. I have just got some few examples to show you. This is Singh Sandra Lake. These are all the points that you see. They are all the GPS coordinates. This is Agra Kire. Agra is that layout. Blue Lake, of course, Blue Lake is already gone. Now, as I said about the encroachment, I don't need to go because you can see that how much acre is encroached already. 1,000 acres. This is from the 2007 Bangalore Urban District lake report, which has been taken from the Task Force for Recovery of Lake Encroachment. So this is a very, very bleak scenario. As I said, and this answers Mr. Ganguly's question also, that this is a very, very terrible situation that we have. I'll go forward. Very much of the land in coastal land has already been evicted, as you can see. Then we are also, as I said, we are in the process. The LDA is in the process of trying to get as much basic data. So because people like you, when you come to me and ask something about a particular lake and the basic data of the lake, sometimes you do not have the type of basic data which you require to be used. And that is what we are doing. We are collecting the entire thing as much as possible. We are trying again to synergize the efforts and the reports which have already been in existence with various other agencies and authorities. This is what we are doing. There are many examples, very terrible examples of lakes in Bangalore, as I said, which have been breached, which do not have water. Just why? Because these lakes were dependent on water from the natural, overflow of the monsoon. They had their natural watershed type of thing. But then, 2 minutes. Yeah, but what has happened, as you have witnessed, that most of these areas have just been, choked. All these lakes have been choked by concrete jungle. So all that water flow has stopped. There is no catchment for the lake. So that is the reason why most of the lakes, large lakes, also have gone dry in Bangalore. And these are the lakes where all the land sharks have their, telescope on. So that is another very big problem. That is why, gentlemen, we have to see that these lakes are. Now let me tell you one more. This is information which you would like to use. Wherever there are lakes which have dried out, not only the High Court committee which I have been referring to, but also the Supreme Court and also the High Court separately have said, in case where there are lakes which have been classified as lake and people are trying to close it or encroach it, the best thing that needs to be done, and that's the directive, is to convert it into a lung space with tree park. Make it a tree park and let the community handle it and see it. So that is also, this is just for one. There are lot many things to tell you, but sorry. Now, as I said, that we have 38,000 lakes. This is from the. This is again, I think, information which most of you might not know. This is these 38,000 lakes have been derived from the data of the satellite interpretation data application. And here also the lakes in Karnataka would be much more than 38,000. I am talking about Karnataka. Why? For a very simple reason that the satellite data recognizes any water body as lake only if it is 2 hectares or more. And many of our lakes are less than that. So this is going on. There is also, I do not know whether somebody, any one of you would be interested to know something about wetlands, because the Lake Development Authority is also looking at the wetlands of Karnataka, where we have this real biological, ecological perspective of saving the wetland from being contaminated by raw sewage and encroachment, and seeing that the water flow is there available and all those things. If anybody would like to have information on the wetlands of Karnataka. Most of you welcome to some of this can be taken offline. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ravidas. As I said earlier, Dr. Ravidas is an extremely approachable person. So if you have any queries, any questions, you can always go to his office, which is at Parisara Bhavana. And also he shared some documents with us, which we will forward to you. For example, list of all the links and which authority it comes under. So that is already with us. We will forward it to you. Please write your name, address, email ID and phone number in the sheet that is being circulated, and we will forward you that list.
We would like to have the same for the dignitaries what so that we can also be in contact with them whenever necessary.
India already has a website, but the information is 2002 only. So whatever information he has shared, everything can be uploaded. The latest standards on the website.
It's a great point.
That's 10 years old. The correct information is 10 years old on the website.
Next, I would like to invite